What would happen to your business if your data disappeared tomorrow? No website, no customer files, no content, no systems. Most entrepreneurs spend years building their brands, but very few think about how to protect what they've built until something goes wrong. Today, we're talking about business resilience, disaster recovery, and how small businesses can prepare like enterprise companies without needing a technical background. Hey everyone, welcome back to Branding with Bex, where we talk about the strategies behind building brands and businesses designed to last. Today, I'm joined by Tom May, the CEO and technical director of Different Dev. Tom helps businesses build resilience into their systems so they can keep running even when unexpected challenges arise. Tom, welcome to the show. You spent over 2 decades working in technology. What led you to focus specifically on resilience and disaster recovery, and why is it more relevant now than ever?
Well, it's funny. I actually resisted it for the longest time. I was very much a generalist back when a generalist was a good thing, starting to become a bad thing. And I fell into more of a system admin role with a company that did this before there really was resilience. And it's kind of a model of file level backup and being in that focus, realizing, hey, this was a shortfall. We need to do better. We need to do better. And then it's kind of like the rest of the world caught up with me and realizing, okay, your most precious asset is your resilience and protecting that at all costs. Now it's the hot button topic, right? So I think I was reading ahead in the manual is what brought me in there.
That's great. I often think too, sometimes thinking about the technical infrastructure of a business may not be top of mind for a lot of creators or maybe people that are a little bit entrepreneurial and really excited to get started building a business. They kind of think about the technical infrastructure later on, or they maybe feel intimidated by it. So, what would you say is the biggest misconception that business owners have about protecting their data and their systems?
Number one, they all think they have it covered. It's no big
Okay.
deal. I mean, that's just the basis of it.
Yeah.
I can worry about that later. And the fact is, you have to take it look from the standpoint of people's mindset is, well, if something breaks, how do I fix it? They don't realize a simple click can bring them down. So you have to kind of take it like insurance and think of it this way. If you lost access to everything you have and you lost access to the data, where would you be? And that's where they overstep it. So it's always the
Yeah.
afterthought.
That's a great point. I think too, like you said, you think later on maybe we'll recover it or things will be better. But if you have this set up ahead of time, it kind of alleviates a lot of stress or pressure or the potential possibility of something like that happening. And we often think of disaster recovery as a technical issue, but how is resilience actually a business and a leadership strategy from your perspective?
Well, I can shape it this way to start off with. There's two personas, I call them. There's the I've never been through the incident and I don't want to spend it person or think about it. And then there's the, oh gosh, I've been through it. Now everything is infinite with resources. So it's those two mindsets and finding somewhere in the middle. But what you have to understand is like any technology you buy, and we've all done this, you purchase something, you attend a sales pitch, you go, this is the best thing since sliced bread, and I'm going to just buy it and it works. And it rarely ever does. And resilience is the same way. It's not just the tool. Like I focus in on Veeam. I love their product and everything else, but I could substitute any of the competition in there. I could put in a Commvault or whomever you want in there.
Mhm.
It comes down to the operational side. Are you doing it? Are you testing it? Are you reviewing it regularly? What places and policies are in place? Like who can call an incident, right? You
Mhm.
don't just want to go through 12 hours of downtime or 2 hours of downtime just because a file's deleted. So there's a lot of administrative overhead. The best way to cap the topic is a little older, but still relevant. It's kind of the ITIL theory of, it's a three-legged stool: people, process, and technology. Your people are out there running it. You have your processes from an implementation standpoint and operational overview, and coupled with, of course, the tool of the trade that you use.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I think often, sometimes with people leading different teams, they might have to go through audits, pivots, recovery events. And from your personal experience, what separates businesses that bounce back quickly from those who tend to struggle longer?
Believe that people that put it in an operational mindset, I'm going to launch something new, let's say, and they
Okay.
build it in there. They also start looking at different strategies as well. We often think, well, what if my piece of hardware fails? What if my piece of software fails? Instead of thinking, what's the business process I need to do? And if that fails, what touches upon that? So, it could be email email, it could be an accounting package, anything, a web presence. You have to look at it. And equally so, the number one driver is when we tie that to revenue. We need to look at revenue sources. So an illustration I've always used is working in big law for the longest time. People think lawyers need to bill, and it's true. And so when you look at weighing the mitigation of these incidents, you think, I need to bill. So what happens first? The accounting department pops up and they go, we need to bill. No, accounting department, you need to put out invoices. You need to keep accounts receivable cycles moving. If those fall behind, it doesn't look good on a balance sheet, but there's a great gap between what if a lawyer cannot actually bill? What if a legal secretary cannot research? You're not accruing billable hours. So it changes what we do. So we need to understand our resilience ties back to our revenue. It keeps revenues flowing.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think it also brings up that action item, which I want to mention too. So if someone's listening and they realize that they don't have a backup plan, they don't have any sort of resilience plan in place, what are the first 2 or 3 steps that you would recommend a business should take immediately?
First, you have to take an inventory and know what you do and how you do it, right? We use this application all the time. What happens if we lose it? And you start there. You have to understand that there's kind of there's a road to resilience and there's a fork in the road that we come upon. And it really is a stalemate for a lot of people. It crushes their anxiety and it looks something along the lines of, I have nothing. Wow, to do this is overwhelming. On the other side of the fork is well, if I just have forward movement and do something, I'm better than where I was. And I always take that secondary road. You create that really great roadmap and no, you can't do it all. You can't spend it all. So start with what matters first. You need to know the value of your data. That's the first inventory and what keeps it going. So it's mitigation of loss, not continuity of keeping services running. So first, if I had a malware attack, let's say, and I can't get to my data, I'm out of business. Okay, well, if I mitigate that and at least I can drag it back, I'm in a good place. I still have my data. I may not be processing that data. I am at least still going to take a small minimal revenue hit in that scenario versus complete loss. So first we have to make it undeletable. We have to make it untouchable. Protect against that insider threat of an employee or a hacker coming, locking, cracking, holding hostage. You eliminate that. Then you worry about, how do I keep the lights on? What do I do with it? How do I keep the orders flowing? So that's kind of where we look at.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think too, speaking with a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners in general, one thing that seems to come up a lot is that decisiveness, whether it's the right or wrong decision, is often better than remaining indecisive. Focusing on the stair, not the whole staircase. The next step, what we need to do versus kind of catastrophically thinking of like worst case scenario and all of the things it's going to affect. Just what can we do next to make things a little bit better and it's like continue to move us forward, I think is really, really great advice. As we're seeing right now, technology is evolving consistently, and especially with AI increasing and a lot of digital dependence on AI. What do you think entrepreneurs should start preparing for now to kind of future proof their business? Or are there any tips that you offer when people who are interacting with AI from their business that could give them a little bit more sense of safety or security when using these platforms?
Okay, well, we're going to stay with platforms for a moment. Whenever we talk about the concept of resilience, multiple copies is what seals the deal. So more
Okay.
often than not, people are jumping to the cloud in two ways, shapes, or forms, right? We're going to
Mhm.
say, I'm going to the cloud. I'm doing an Amazon. I'm already protected, right? Amazon guarantees my uptime. I'm going from zone 1 to zone 2. You're still in Amazon. You have to have multi-layer backups. You have to take Amazon out of Amazon, Azure out of Azure, your on-prem and put it somewhere else. That applies to any technology stack we look at. The
Okay.
next flavor would be, well, you know what? I don't host an email server anymore because Microsoft does it. No, Microsoft doesn't do it. And even if Microsoft does it, you have to have that outside copy. So it's this layering. When we
Mhm.
tack on AI, this becomes a whole other ballgame. Okay. This is where AI, excuse me, while it's very powerful, can be very detrimental. And what we're starting to see in the marketplace, and we have this with Veeam, that's my specialty, is, we have Security AI, their latest acquisition. We're looking at this product with Incident Commander, if you will, which is doing this. It's tracking all the changes in your environment. It's looking and sniffing out all the AI that you use. And what it allows it to do is, by monitoring these bots, if you will, it's going to allow you to revert change. We're seeing
Okay.
huge, huge issues with this. Everyone
Yep.
at a desk is using AI. Everybody's doing something and it's shadow IT. No one knows what's going on. So we have to use AI to combat AI. You have to have
Okay.
that internal sequence that's looking at all these other bots, tracking changes, backing it up to roll it back. Because it could be something simple as Bex, you're out there, you write a little chat bot or whatever you're working on and it works great. Well, is that getting patched? Is it the latest code? What if something goes sideways? We just don't know it exists. So now you employ a different type of AI internally and you start sniffing through all of this. And so now you're mitigating against your own tools should
Right.
they be misused. That is really the trend in AI right now. And it couples into a very hot topic I like to talk about, which is data drift. You have a
Okay.
website. There's blog, there's content, there's all sorts of things out there, PDFs. You start employing AI to create content automatically for you,
Hmm.
starts doing its thing. We don't go back and we don't check the content as quick as it's created. It takes 3 months and all of a sudden we realize, excuse me, oh my goodness, something has changed this. How do you
Yeah.
revert that? That's where your resilience plan helps with data drift. And data drift is going to become more and more of a topic with people. As it's easy to create, it's easy to go unchecked, and you have to have that in there. So data compliance and governance is going to be huge, and AI is going to have to not just be the creator, but it's also going to have to be the check and balance.
Wow. That's a really great point, bringing up the two AIs to kind of compete against each other and to give that different perspective. Is I talk to a lot of different entrepreneurs, business owners, marketers, and everybody has a different take on AI slightly. Obviously it's a useful tool, but we forget, like you said, how the data drift can happen. Things can happen where you forget because you set up an AI or a bot in place to do something that it needs to be checked on, and it can't just take it and run with the ideas that you've implemented. So really great advice there. Would you mind sharing a little bit more with our listeners about what you do and different dev? And if someone wanted to work with you, what that would look like?
Absolutely. So, first and foremost, we have people that are doing nothing, which we talked about. We help them begin that journey.
Okay.
We have people that own this Veeam software. I mean, Veeam's kind of like the Gartner Magic Quadrant leader, top in the world sort of thing. The reason I chose Veeam years ago, it was the first software that really actually worked to do what it needed to do. We had the compliance side, we had the governance side, but the software, we were nail biting. Would it do the recovery? Well, Veeam delivered on that. So when my firm comes involved, it's not just build and configure the tool. You can really find a myriad of people that can do that. It's someone that's going to sit down with you and try to understand your business and say, what drives you? Where's your revenue? This is your roadmap, if you will. I always say the best thing about Different Dev is we help our customers make an informed bad decision. What that really boils down to is simply, if we were to have a cyber incident and I were to show up and I was your consultant and you said, oh man, this just happened. And I'd be like, Bex, if we would have just did this, it would be okay. That's a terrible consultant. What you want somebody to do is do the risk reward. This is everything you can do. This is everything you can spend. This is every pain point penetration vector. This lays it out. But here's your roadmap based upon budget to get to where you are. So when you choose to not do X, we raise these risks in here and we help someone move the needle. So when we go back to that original scenario where we talked about, well, if I'm in this paralysis of a roadmap of I have to do everything or I can start implementing some things, we help them through the reality of that second road. Implement, grow, and go. And the nice thing about our firm is we're regularly involved. So think of it like a fractional
Hmm.
relationship. We're the
Okay.
expert that you can't afford or need full time. So instead, you engage us and we bring technology, additional tools, and we're there at every meeting. You're going to get this application to do that. We're going to raise the flag and go, well, what do we do for that data as we implement it? So it's an ongoing relationship and a very nice subscription model that keeps it tight. So you're not worried about those backups. There's transparency, there's technology, there's a team of people working on this, and you're not paying the typical sick days and Social Security and all that nonsense.
Right.
Real nice for a quarter of a full-time employee with a knowledge base. You get a team. On the other side of that street is work with firms that go, oh, we're the smartest people ever. We have 57 people that do this. We're smart. Well, that's great. So now we're an
Mhm.
auditor. We come in and we perform full scale audits. We do VM optimization reviews. We look at the technology, but we have the executive conversations to make sure everything's aligned. We provide gap analysis, documentation. And even if you came out perfect in an audit and no one has, that really helps with the mitigation in cyber incidents because you have a ransom, you involve your insurance carrier, and pretty quickly, they're trying to get out of paying a claim. By using a firm like me, I like to say you can kick us under the bus. You did your due diligence. How much more, Bex, could you have done other than hire the experts to do these things with all these certifications? And if they messed up, you wouldn't know. It's like using a tax preparer. You still have some liability, but really you didn't do the mechanics of it. So it's those two sides of the street that we ultimately do is the ongoing relationship and of course the audit. And if you're at nothing, I mean, yes, we can be the technical team too. Call us and we'll work through whatever we need to. So that's what Different Dev brings to us. I think it's that full package instead of the buy Veeam, we install it, we leave. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, no, that's great. And thank you for sharing that with us. I think a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to our show, the having that peace of mind, I think, is really important. One thing we talk about a lot on this show is outsourcing to people who are more qualified to do something than you are, and this seems to align very well. I think often it's hard to do when you open up a business. There's so many aspects of the business to keep in mind, and people are deciding, okay, what should I spend my money on? What should I outsource? What should I try to tackle myself? And there are things like in this situation, security, this could be very detrimental to your business. It's important to have that peace of mind and to have that external team, like you mentioned, that you can go to and have these conversations with. I think also too, for small business owners, like you mentioned, that smaller scale business where you're able to come in and have those meetings with them and to kind of talk them through it. It's great to get that outside perspective. You may not have thought of something that your team can then bring to the table. And it's interesting too, as you brought up, maybe the executives or that full scale audit approach. I think it's always valuable to have another perspective, whatever you're talking about, just to have someone else look in and say, hey, actually, here's a gap that we can fill, or here's an opportunity that you're maybe not thinking about. And I think right now, the ongoing relationship with the business is so important to have someone to check in and to ask any questions to, because like we've discussed with AI, it's just everything is constantly changing, constantly evolving, and we want to make sure our businesses are protected in that. So really appreciate your insight there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I really appreciate your time in this conversation. I like how you reframed resilience not as something that businesses need to think about after the problem happens, but something maybe more intentionally built in as they grow and operate their businesses. I'll be sure to add all of your links in the show notes for anyone to connect with you, but I really appreciate your time today, and this has been very helpful for our audience.
Thank you so much for having me today. And just to close with, it doesn't matter your size. We have mom and pop businesses, we have dentist offices, we have Fortune 100s. It works into any budget. Okay. So really, we like to share knowledge and we build strong relationships. If we're the right fit, great. If not, down the road, tell your friends we're nice people. That's how we operate. So thanks for having me today. It's been a lot of fun with you.
Tom, I really like how you reframed resilience not as something that businesses need to think about after the problem happens, but as something intentionally built into how companies grow and operate every day. For listeners, I think the biggest takeaway here is that resilience isn't a technical investment, it's a business decision and a leadership mindset. To everyone listening, if you enjoyed this episode, please sure to subscribe, share it with a fellow business owner, and tune in next week for another conversation designed to help you build, scale, and grow with intention. Thank you for joining me on Branding with Facts. Keep showing up, keep creating, and keep building your story.